are millions of bacteria which are here right now. They are contributing some taste, some smell to your brain. They are contributing some data to your brain. If you look at all that, it's a humongous amount of information. Now when you look at 134 bits being processed by the brain and 2 million bits coming in, just imagine our reality is based only on those 134 bits that our brain captures and processes. Are we together on that? Can you imagine the huge data loss that is actually happening? Now when we look at it, how can I be sure that at this moment, I am capturing the same 134 bits of information that you are? Can I be sure? No? That is where in NLP we believe that reality is a very, very vague term. Reality for all of us will always be different. That is where we say we need to be flexible. We can't say, okay, this is a laptop, its color is grey. That's it, that's real. Nothing else can be real. The moment I've said that, I've left the first tenet. I've ignored the fact that there is so much data loss that maybe this color I think is grey. Is it necessarily grey? What shade of grey?
Even if you go through it further, later you may not find something better.
Absolutely.
What you have.
Yes. So given this fact is where we say reality is different for all of us. And why is all this important? Let me ask you. What is this? Bottle? Water bottle? Anything else? A bottle half filled with water. Okay. Anything else?
Kept on the table.
Kept on the table. If you really look at it, it's a plastic bottle having a design of flowers with a blue lid, filled half with water and half with air and God knows how many bacteria, so on and so forth. That would actually become what this is. But if we were to go into so much detail every time we spoke to someone, or even if we thought about the bottle, can you imagine the kind of chaos that we would go into? Yes? That is where our brain over a period of time has formed these process of generalization. The moment we saw this, we generalized it and said this is a bottle. So it is not that these processes have been meant to ensure that you don't get the right picture. These processes that are going on inside are meant to help you grasp reality far quickly. But at the same time, they also ensure a lot of relevant data is lost. Post these filtration, what happens is, it goes through a lot of different meta programs in your brain. The program called language, all of us understand language in a slightly different manner. Then it undergoes through different programs called memories. You have memories, right? Right now somebody said, we relate it to something that we know and infer something from it. So it goes through a lot of different processes before you've got meta programs, you've got values and beliefs, you've got some attitudes that we have. After undergoing all these, we come to something that we call as an internal representation. After undergoing all these processes, we arrive at something that we call as an internal representation. Is this bottle the same thing that you have inside your brain? No. Inside our brain, we have something that we call as an internal representation or a picture of that Memory by itself is always pictorial, visual. Memory is made up of pictures. Memory is never made up of only sounds or only taste or only smell or any other thing. If you really sit down, think about it, whenever you have any memory, the first thing that you have attached with it is a picture. With pictures we remember, and along with the picture you have a smell or a taste or any other association. Are we together on that? Right? Now this internal representation that we have inside creates something that we call as a mental state, a state of the mind. And this in turn causes something that we call as physiology. Physiology has got everything to do with our body language, what we exhibit by way of our body. Can we do one small experiment, all of us? Is that all right? Can we stand up? Okay. Now what I want you all to do is a very simple thing. Stand like this with your head looking down, with your eyes looking at the floor, with your back bent a bit. Try to imagine something sad. Not too sad. We don't want you crying on the floor out here. Something that made you a bit unhappy. Are we there? A bit unhappy, not too unhappy. Are we there? Yes? Brilliant. Look back up. Now what I want you to do is, now stand straight with your chest out, with your head held high. Now think of something happy. Can you think of something happy? Yes? Now I want you to retain that pose. Look up. Now make your smile wide. Smile. Smile widely. Look up. Stand straight. Now think about that unhappy thought that you had and tell me how it makes you feel. It's not coming? Brilliant. Thank you. Please have a seat. Now this was just a small example of how our internal representations are affected by our mental states and our body language. In one sense, our internal representations make our mental states and they make our body language. So if you've noticed, whenever we are thinking sad thoughts or unhappy things, we generally go into a very depressed mode, right? Whenever we are thinking about something happy, our body is always like this and we are smiling. Now the same can be achieved by changing our body language, which will affect our mental state, which will affect our internal representations in the reverse direction. Consciously, very few of us normally do it. We always let our internal representation create a mental state and create our body language. Now that we know about it, any time when you are feeling anything negative, just go straight, smile, look up. Tell me ever if you can feel bad or unhappy again. You will suddenly find your entire mood shifting from unhappy or bad to a very nice mood, a positive mood. Now NLP helps you study this in greater detail. This was just one small example. Understanding NLP will help you study the mind-body connection in far greater detail than you've ever thought possible. NLP has gone to a stage where now a lot of people who are doing research in NLP have found out that almost every disease, every single disease, whether caused by bacteria, virus, anything, is directly related to our brain. And every disease can be cured only and only by using the brain to cure itself. That is how NLP has gone. That is how far NLP has gone. The studies are going on even right now, because for modern science to accept anything, there has to be tons of data and lots of proof. And a lot of people are involved in creating that proof right now. So, and there's nothing against any other stream of medicine. All are useful at different points of time. What we are saying is, since NLP is a study of excellence, it has also now started looking at everything that can make human life better. Now, having said that, if you look at all this, this is what creates our behavior. Now, NLP seeks to do just that, using language or communication as a means of communicating with a person. How do I change the behavior that is coming about all this? So learning NLP will help you understand. Learning NLP will help you understand that if somebody's behavior is not producing, or my behavior is not producing the results that I want, what kind of changes can I make out here in the background so that I get the behavior or the results that I want? Does that make sense? Yes?